Cory Booker, Cam Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren all voted against protecting babies that are born from being killed. That's a fact.
Wow.
And these people are running for president in 2020 as Democrats.
In this episode of Lives Matter, I head to Olivera Street in Los Angeles to see if Hispanics truly do share the same traditional core values with the modern-day Democrat Party. If you're Hispanic, I'm sure you've always been told the Democrats are the party for the Latino people. Is that really true? Let's see how a few Hispanics react to hearing the facts about the Democrat Party values in comparison to core Hispanic traditional values. Let's see.
What to you would be your main core values as Hispanic people?
They're very family oriented. Very family oriented. Like we're just family people, no matter what.
Agree. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she brought her grandma here today. You could see how we're both Hispanic. I was actually born in Mexico, and I could really tell you how we always stick together. That's the main thing, and family most of all. I can't tell you.
Nothing else that I can think of. We just love throwing parties.
Fiestas, siestas, right? Yeah, you know, I've been doing a lot of research because obviously I'm Hispanic, Spaniard, and I really do take my heritage seriously. And I was kind of curious to see like what are our core values, and what I learned and what I discovered out of research was the three top traditional Hispanic core values: God, family, and life, the quality of life, the reproduction of life. And I was kind of doing a story because I'm like into politics and I like that stuff, and I wanted to compare the Hispanic core traditional values with the modern day Democrat Party. 77% of Latinos and Hispanics identify as either Catholic or Christians, and 70% of Hispanics identify with a moral standard of right and wrong. And the number one issue right now, I think, with the Democrats is the issue of God. And I think if you take a look at that, they have a serious issue with removing God out of everything. And I don't know if you know this, but in 1963, there was a major vote in the Supreme Court whether or not to take Bible readings or mandatory Bible prayers out of public school systems. And that was voted against and taken out of the public school system. And the majority of those that voted against it to take it out were actually Democrats. And even until January 2019, where we are right now, Democrats were actually advocating to take away the traditional oath that's been in the United States from the very beginning of the existence of our country to say, "So help me God," in a congressional witness stand or when witnesses are testifying in court. So it seems like the Democrats have this issue with God, and they want to take God out of not only our government system, but even in our mainstream media and everything that we're involved with, especially as Hispanics, because statistically speaking, the number one traditional core value for Hispanics is God and their faith and Christianity or Catholicism. And when you match that with the modern day Democrat Party, they seem to be wanting to remove that from us. And as a Hispanic, that kind of like concerns me. Like, what do you think about that?
I just think that's wrong. Like, no matter if you don't believe in it or not, like, you don't have to take someone else's faith. Like, that's no good at all.
What do you think?
I don't think you should. I know we're controlled by the government and all. Whoever votes the most says what goes in this country. But most of the people here, they want God in their life. Even not Hispanic people, they have God in their life. And I have a lot of different friends that are not only Hispanic, and God is a big part of their family. So it's not only Hispanic, but mainly, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I didn't know that though, that they're trying to take all that away.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular thing right now, and you know, just a couple more points so you guys can go on with your day. God, family, and life. And the modern day Democrat Party seems to be wanting to take God out of everything. And this brings us to our next point, which is pro-choice, pro-life, and life. A lot of Hispanics identify as Christians or Catholics, and one of our number one creeds, one of our number one doctrines is pro-life as Christians and as Catholics, because God is pro-life on so many levels throughout the Bible. And it doesn't make sense that a lot of Hispanics claim to be Catholics or Christians and follow the doctrines of the Bible, yet contradict themselves when they say that they're pro-choice, because a traditional Catholic standpoint is pro-life. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't know if you guys know a lot about, the debate right now, but as of this year, Democrats legalized in New York the murder of babies. A woman, if she chooses to have an abortion at 9 months or even after the baby is born, she can so do so if she pleases. What is your guys' view on that? Do you think that that's a murder if a full-born baby up to 9 months is aborted, or a baby's actually born that they could terminate the life? Is that an abortion or is that a murder?
I think that would be murder because it's already 9 months. Like, you're about to give birth, and like it's already can hear you, it can breathe, it just can't breathe outside of you, but like that's just not right because it's already a full-grown baby. Like, you're killing it. Like, come on, like that's, I don't know, I just don't.
I agree. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely murder. I read about that when it first came out. I didn't agree with that at all. That's you might as well kill a 19-year-old kid. It's the same thing. They're just babies. I don't know.
You know what alarmed me the most was in February, Republicans actually attempted to vote against it and implement law that couldn't happen. The law was actually attempted to implement that, hey, if this were to happen, if a mother decided to abort the baby at 9 months because she felt like it, or if the baby's actually born, that a doctor cannot do it, or a doctor has to provide care for a baby that's born, and they can't just kill the baby. But what happened was Democrats voted against it in February. So they actually voted for a woman to actually have the choice to murder her baby after it's born. That happened.
That's unbelievable. I wouldn't see that out of like a Democrat kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing. The majority of those who voted against it were Democrats, and the most popular Democrats being for president in 2020 voted against that and for that. Cory Booker, Cam Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren all voted against protecting babies that are born from being killed. That's a fact.
Wow.
And these people are running for president in 2020 as Democrats.
That's crazy. I don't even think they should run for president for doing that.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think they should be allowed, but I don't know how people don't see that's wrong. I mean, most of the people don't actually, I didn't know all that. I didn't know they all voted for that. But I mean, you're telling me all this right now, it's kind of shocking. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is all public information. Don't take my word for it. Go home, research it. You'll see it. It's all over the place. It's just not an MSM because they don't want people like us to know the truth. So last point before you guys go, God, life, family. Okay, now this is the most important part to me because Planned Parenthood is a mega corporation that is making billions of dollars, but I don't know if a lot of people actually know the origins of Planned Parenthood. The founder of Planned Parenthood is a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger. She was a devout, openly public racist that believed in eugenics, which is the practice of sterilizing human beings to purify the human race, which is against minorities, Hispanics, blacks, even the publicly proclaimed retarded. This is how they spoke in those times. Let's say if you were born blind, they believed that you were an infection to the human race and they should sterilize you from not having babies any longer. They believed that black people were an infection to the human race, and even Nazis were inspired by the eugenics of the early 1920s. And a lot of Nazi doctrine originated from American eugenics, which believed in the sterilization of minorities to promote the human race. These are facts, and the founder of Planned Parenthood, this was the type of person she was. And the origin of Planned Parenthood wasn't just so women could have a choice if they ran into a bad situation to get rid of their babies. The origin of Planned Parenthood was actually designed in a eugenics agenda because it was meant to sterilize anyone that was not seen fit, especially minorities, beginning with blacks, Hispanics, and those who were seen to be retarded or mentally or disabled in any way, shape, or form. That was the original intent for Planned Parenthood. And actually, it wasn't even called Planned Parenthood. It was actually the American Birth Control League, and they actually had to change the name into Planned Parenthood because it was more market friendly, and so people wouldn't identify it with eugenics and the sterilization of human beings and the purification of the human race, because that's kind of extreme, right? So they changed it to Planned Parenthood, and they targeted minorities because they believed that they were to sterilize especially black people and Hispanics and those that were not seen fit or disabled, because they would terminate or they would destroy the human race. So this is the origins of Planned Parenthood. Anyone could go read this in a book and find this. And up until this day, Planned Parenthood claims to defend women and claims to defend those that are helpless, but their ideology was actually racist and to sterilize minorities up until this very day. I don't know if you know this, but one of Planned Parenthood's biggest clinics and facilities is in Houston, Texas. And you know where it's at? It's one of the most heavily populated Hispanic areas in Houston, Texas today. And Planned Parenthood, it's on record that they strategically placed their clinics in highly populated minority areas, Black, Hispanic, for the purpose of sterilizing so they couldn't reproduce. This is why they always dish out birth control pills. This is why they always promote abortions of minorities. This is why it's predominantly in minority locations, because their agenda came from wanting to sterilize minorities from reproducing because they believe that that would damage the human race. What do you think about that?
That's crazy, actually. Like, they changed up the whole concept of it. Like, they don't like to say the truth of how things became. Like, back then it was horrible. People were so mean to, like, color people and stuff like that. Like, that's not cool. Like, we're all human beings, you know? And people don't know things like that. And I think that people should know. So they know where we, like, as, like, all these, like, Americans know where they come from and, like, how things are. So they know and stuff like that. I just think it's just knowledge. Like, they should know, like, where it comes from and, like, how it became, like, the real truth. I believe everybody should know the truth. Like, don't just change it up because people are starting to, like, kind of figure it out and stuff like that. Like, I just
Totally agree. How do you feel?
Well, I didn't know that. I just knew from when I was a child how they would hand out condoms and stuff so you would prevent pregnancy. But I never knew that there was...
That was why.
That was why, yeah. Now I can see why. And that they actually, like, hand out birth control, anything to try to prevent people from getting pregnant. Yeah, I didn't know that, though. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's on record that they targeted Black communities, they target Hispanic communities, not so they could help them. Margaret Sanger believed that Black people, Mexicans, poor people were actually so less fortunate that them being born, they wouldn't even have a chance to survive in the world, so we might as well sterilize. This is what she believed. And this is where Planned Parenthood started, and to this very hour are still continuing to target minorities, and it's a very sad thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say today, that is the Democrat Party, they do not fit with our Hispanic traditional values of God and family and life, because they are the party of anti-God, they are the party of pro-choice, anti-life, and they are the party that is obviously, if you are anti-life, you are anti-family. They have specifically targeted Hispanic families because the Democrat Party has always backed up Planned Parenthood, and that was always their agenda. So I just wanted to inform the public today. I personally don't believe that as a minority, I could ever side with a party that goes against my Hispanic core traditional values. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. Like, you shouldn't go against your own heritage, stuff like that. Like, people should know that. And I believe, like, the Democrat doesn't say that or doesn't show that part of them. And that's just wrong. Like, they should realize that, like, some people are gonna realize it and they're just not gonna vote. They're just gonna be like, I don't want to vote anymore. You know, they're gonna be Republicans instead of Democrats. Like, that's what I believe.
I agree. What do you think?
I think if they don't put all the information out, so they only show you the good. What's the good? They just they target your core values, and they don't tell you because they think we're ignorant. I agree to an extent. They do agree with that because they don't show us all of the information that they agree with. They only want to tell us everything for the good, so we can see all the good they're trying to do. But they don't tell you about all this that you're telling me now. I didn't know all this. And especially they try to target certain races. That's like bringing back.
That's a fact.
How we used to live. And I believe we should evolve into being better, not go backwards into history.
Totally agree. Well, would you say that, last question, would you say that this conversation is kind of changing your mind on supporting the Democrat Party as Hispanics today?
Yeah, it's probably gonna have a lot of second thinking. Like, I'm gonna actually go and research a lot of things to make sure that I'm gonna vote for the right, like, people. Yeah.
Awesome. What about you?
Well, definitely, like, all this information, I didn't know about it. So now that I do, like, I'll actually do my research if I take a vote next year to see who I am actually voting for.